Muktzeh. So I think the best place to start in Muktzeh is going to be this Rambam, and let's go over it inside. But as you guys did during preparation, it's pretty clear this is a very difficult Rambam. Now the questions I have on the Rambam are a little different than the Raiva's questions. We'll get to the Raiva's questions later. And the Svar for the Raiva, however, the Svar for the Raiva, I think makes a lot of sense based on the Svar we're going to give on understanding the Rambam. Okay, so first we discussed terminology already, so let's just get into the Rambam itself. Okay. Perek Daled Halacha Yud Beis. Who's reading? David, you want to read? Perek Daled Halacha Yud Beis.
I want to Perek over.
Okay, Asur Chachamim.
That's nice.
Asur Chachamim.
Asur Chachamim. Shabbos.
Okay, right. So what do the Chachamim do? They asur what? Some things. Okay. Of course, what you guys picked up on, you don't realize. Clearly, the Mishnah and the Rambam don't jive, right? What does the Mishnah? It's a side. Rambam says the Chacham came along and said there are a few things out there that you're not allowed to move on Shabbos. Kederech, your cue. Like you would move during the week. Okay. No. So his question is very simple. Why they make this isser? The question you have to ask is, I'm going to say this. Why is the Rambam writing that? I know. I'm not trying to be hyper medactic. Why does he say? What was the rationale for Chazal to create such an isser?
Because it's weird. So he's like,
he's that exactly. In other words, there's something about Muktzeh.
What was the purpose of this? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Not that it doesn't make sense, but there's something about Muktzeh there's a unique feature that Muktzeh has that you don't find by other isurim, which you probably haven't figured out yet. But when you see it, you'll understand why. Once we develop the svara, you're going to come back and understand why the Rambam asked this question. But there's something about Muktzeh that's very. Difficult. Okay? All right, go. So what does he say? Right.
Umayim has Hiru Nevi'im Tzitzav Shlo Yeh Lucha Shabbos Ki Lucha B'chol
V'lo
Sichas Shabbos Sichas B'chol
Shenamar
V'davar
Stop.
When he said Amru, as in the Chacham.
No, the Nevi'im. Okay, so bonus question. Where's that brought down? What? Yeshayahu. Right, very good. It says it. No. Slow down. Okay. It says it by Yeshayahu. He says that there's a pasuk there. It says davar. What's davar mean?
Talking about doing Malachat Shabbos.
As an example, okay, but be more global than that. Your speech on Shabbos should be different than your speech during the week, right? Your walking on Shabbos should be different than your walking during the week, right? What? And your chayfetz should be different on Shabbos. Yes.
So like if I use it.
No, that's not what I mean. Obviously we know that's not the case, but the point is.
Skip.
No.
But like in the meadow, like with the rainbow.
Yes, you should. Let me know when you do that. So therefore the Rambam says, so just like we see from the Nevi'im, we see a precedent by the Nevi'im, right, that there's an idea of differentiating aspects of Shabbos from Chol. Go on the Rambam. Tucker, right? Kal v'chomer. Right, okay. Shelo yeh. So even more so that the way you move things on Shabbos should not be like the way you move things on Chol. Okay? Great. We're not here for commentary yet. Let's first get through the whole thing. Go. So we don't want Shabbos to be like what?
Like a whole day.
Like a weekday in his eyes. Okay? L'hagbiyah.
Only buys the buys.
Olatzniya avanim. Okiyotze bahen. Bato. So again, Shabbos, you already have Isser Malacha in place, okay? So what is Isser Malacha? When a guy's in a situation of Isser Malacha, the average person, not the person who's engaged in learning, a guy who's, an average person, right? So if he's in Isser Malacha, what's there for him to do? Nothing. Yoshev Batal. So if he's Yoshev Batal, he's going to want to have something to do, so what's he going to do? He's going to move some things around, right? He's moving things around not for any productive reason. He's moving things around because he's bored.
Just to not be rested.
Right, exactly, right? Because Shabbos is set up, and again, if you're not engaged in learning, what is Shabbos, everybody? I know we live in a more technology advanced society. It's boring because there's nothing to do. My kids tell me all the time, "What am I supposed to do today? There's nothing to do." He was going to want to find something to do. V'nimsa.
Spain.
Last word in the first one.
And such those Shabbos.
Okay. V'nimsa shelo Shabbos
Shavas.
Shabbos.
Right.
Uvatel atam. Shenema v'Torah l'mayim.
So he didn't have Shvisa, and it destroys the reason that the Torah says, which is L'man Yinuach, that a person should rest on Shabbos. Okay?
Is that
A positive idea?
a contrast between call, or is that you're supposed to rest?
We'll find out. Okay, next. So what's reason number one? Just to boil it down. Reason number one is there is an idea of Shvisa here. Okay? There's idea of Shvisa, right? We'll add to this L'man Yanuach. Okay? That's reason number one. Reason number two. W. Yoshua.
Moving on now.
Yeah, Ba'od. Ba'od.
Sheyivakir Telltale Caleb. Shemalach Tamlet Isser. Efshar she's Asik Bahem Na'at.
Now that's like the most sensible reason of all. Of course, Yaakov pointed out that's only limited to power drills, right? But what's the Rambam telling you? He's telling you that if you allow a guy to move power drills on Shabbos, you're asking for trouble.
Why is it? What do you mean?
Because it's only Kli Shemach Del Isser. What about Kli Shemach Del Heter?
You're gonna come to use it accidentally. Or
Like a fork. We're
Saying we don't. In the first reason, it's theoretically possible that Kli Shemach Del Heter also could be a problem,
Well, yeah, 'cause they don't want you doing things for pointless.
but not number two.
Well, give me something you can't use for heter.
That it can't. No, the problem is that if I had a power drill,
I meant
we don't want a guy to move a power drill because what's going to happen? He's going to use the power drill.
move anything, because you might move anything.
No, but if okay, let's say moving a spoon.
Yeah.
Okay, if I move a spoon, what am I going to use it for? Hold on, what am I going to use the spoon for? I could use it for that, but that's normative use. Kli Shemach Del Isser means normative use.
I didn't see it.
What do you mean? He says V'o kashivarki v'talta kelim shemalach Del Isser. That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Why do you choose? Okay, thank you. Yes, John. That is the hard part. Should mix us even though for some reason it doesn't bother Mate, but you have a very or Tucker. But you have a very small percentage of the population, right? Who are omnius. Kol Yimein, they sit around all day. Kigon Atayalan V'Yoshe Karnos. Shekol Yimein Hen Shovsim Malacha. It's unbelievable what he's saying. I mean, it's just astonishing. He's saying that for these people, every day for them is Shabbos. That's an unbelievable idea. It's like for every
people, they like the kid.
unemployed.
Retired.
No, unemployed.
And it's like
And
unemployed.
retired.
And notice you got to look at his lashon very carefully. He says if it's mutter for them to walk and talk and move like other days, not like what's the term used beforehand in number one, like chol, because every day for them is
Shabbos.
some sort of
No concept of
like
full.
right, exactly. It's like a false Shabbos. So as a result, therefore, we don't want that to be mutter for them. Shenimse shelo Shabbos shvisa hanikares. So what does that mean? It means that on Shabbos there'd be no way to demonstrate the difference between the seventh day of the week and the fifth day.
why do they need to do that if they're learning Shabbos?
That's a great. Okay, let's just get the basic question. Why do they have? Why do they have to have that? What is this idea?
It's not the time of Shabbos. The time of Shabbos is where they.
Well, he doesn't mention anything about Thomas Shabbos. That's what you want him to say. We know what the Thomas Shabbos is, but he doesn't mention that. You mean like Dabar Dabar? That's from Yeshayahu. That's from the Nevi'im.
Right.
That's from the Nevi'im. Shvis is from the Torah.
So that's not what he's saying?
No, he said. Well, I don't know what he's saying yet. Factually, he's saying that we want for the unemployed to have a shvisa nikaris, or the temporarily employed. Okay. Lefikach. Listen what he says. Lefikach.
Therefore, Shavisa Tibarim Elu, Shavisa Hashava.
The Chol Adam. So therefore, having a shvisa, right, where you can't move objects. We don't know what they are yet. You can't move objects. Will now produce what? What kind of shvisa?
Equal to everyone.
For everyone, a universal shvisa. Okay, so the result of this is a universal shvisa. Okay.
No one is not included.
Well, that's making a very good point. There's no question that these share much more in common than the second reason. So now you're starting to categorize. Okay, you're starting to see differences. Okay, no question. 1 and 3 are certainly more similar than 2. Okay, I agree with that. Right, but however,
But
when it comes to defining this, in my opinion, the way I defined it,
okay.
1 and 2 go hand in hand.
Why?
That's what we're gonna work. That's what we're gonna work out. Okay. Anyone have a question about these facts before we move on? But the first two are very nice because the first two are telling you what that we're definitely talking about differentiation between Shabbos and Chol. Okay. But there's two.
First two?
There's two realms that exist in. Okay. Two realms. One is the philosophical realm, and one is the halachic realm. Okay. This is a philosophical idea. Shvisa. This is philosophical. Okay, that's why the Nevi'im get involved. Halacha doesn't say this. I mean, to be Sinai. There's no Doraisa. What? It does, but Chazal, but the Nevi'im and Chazal have the right to take the idea of Shvisa and extend it to what?
Right.
To what? What term? Kappa, you were saying this. What term am I looking for? What? No. What is? That's the objective. But what all these things are? In other words, you have walking and reading and what? Routine things. Nihug. In other words,
What's nihug?
Nihug means behavior. Okay? Nihug. In other words, the first category is what? The first category is telling you that Chazal came along and said there's a philosophical objective of Shabbos Chol, and then there's a halachic objective of Shabbos Chol. The philosophical objective is expressed through nihug, a person's normal behavior. So just like his routine is changed insofar as speaking and blah, 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 so too his routine is changed insofar as how he relates to...
Is that objective?
What? No, it's not relative, it's objective. And how he was what? Now you got to make one more step. Routine. So what's the difference when you say routine between this and let's say this? This is talking about what, and this is talking about what? Now you're going to get this is where you find the two most core ideas of Muktzeh. The most core ideas of Muktzeh are here. No, let's talk about Kalim now. This is a philosophical objective, and this is a halachic objective. Now, in those two objectives, okay, this is telling us niyog, and this is telling us shema, halachic objective. Okay, you got to go even further. So this is telling you what, and this is telling you what. And this is exactly the two most basic ideas of Muktzeh. And when it comes to Muktzeh, the two most important ideas are, one is, how does a Gavra relate to the Kli? That's this idea. Niyog means, how does the Gavra, how does the individual relate to that which he wants to move? And this isn't how he relates to how he wants to move. But what's this? This is coming from the Chefsa itself. So look at the beauty of the Rambam. The halachic expression of the mechanism is it how the Gavra relates to it, or is it a din of the Chefsa itself? Certain times in Muktzeh, it's about how the Gavra relates to it, and other times in Muktzeh, it's a din in the Chefsa itself. Okay, that's why the Rambam has these three reasons. Because you see, this is where I'm going to speculate a bit. Well, we'll get to this point in a second. I'll explain to you why I think the Rambam has the three reasons. Yeah, hold on. Let's make sure you understand these first two. Step one is how to categorize this. This is a philosophical objective. This is a halachic objective. Step two is within the philosophical objective, we're talking about nihug. Okay, nihug is a philosophical idea. It's that you want a person to have a certain attitude towards Shabbos. Okay, the halachic idea, that's a shema. That's saying that halachically speaking, it's a classic zera. The third step is to say that since it's nihug refers to the way the Gavra relates to the Kli. Okay, how he views the Kli. Right? Nihug is the expression of his relationship to the Kli. But this isn't talking about his relationship to the Kli. This is saying there's an intrinsic definition of the Kli itself. It's defined as a Kli Shemalach L'Isser. That's why he chooses Kli Shemalach L'Isser, because its definition is what? L'Isser. That's a din of the Chefsa. And in Muktzeh, those are the two realities that exist. In some realms, it's how the Gavra relates to it, and other ones, it's the Chefsa itself. Very important point. The Rambam mentions these tamim at the end of Perek Daled before he actually talks about the halachas of Muktzeh. Why? Very simple. Because he's trying to show you, you're not translating the reasons into the specific halachas. All the reasons, right, in some way or another, are going to express themselves within the specific halachas. But you can't learn. This is not ready for halachic. This is not halachic consumption. Who said that? Right. It's not. This isn't ready for halachic consumption. You understand? That's why he keeps it separate.
Halachic consumption.
Yeah. He's raising a good point. Monty's saying 1 second. But why can't we just say the fact that there is an Isser Malach itself that produces Shvisa? Okay, listen to what the Rambam says. Just listen to the words. He says, what's the most important part about the third reason? Where he says like this. He says, Nimsa Shalo Shava Shvisa Nikaras. So for the unemployed, there was no recognizable Shabbos. Lefikach Shvisa Midvarim Elu. Right? Therefore, the shvisa from these things, he shvisa hashava b'chol adam. It is what kind of shvisa? The universal shvisa. Okay? What's the Rambam saying? What is he saying? Universal. What does that mean? Universal shvisa.
Shabbos requires a universal shvisa.
Okay. 1 second. What did you say before that? But Mati had a great question. Mati's question is why? 1 second. Why isn't Isser Malacha enough to create Shvisa?
It's not everybody has it.
Okay, good.
Third isn't
God says you're not allowed to do malach on Shabbos. Okay. Now, when God says you can't do malach on Shabbos, what does that mean? You can't do malach on Shabbos, right? And what does not doing malach on Shabbos produce? Shvisa. Okay? It produces shvisa. There's only one. Now, I'm going to say this carefully, so relax. Okay? There's a problem, though. Not a problem with God, obviously, but there's a problem with that institution of shvisa. The deraisa shvisa of institution is lacking something. You know what it is? You know what's lacking?
Nickerness.
Universality. Okay?
Universality.
It means that.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's simple.
universal. It's just not Nicker universal.
Okay, right, correct. In other words, I apologize. Avi's right. In other words, it's not the shvisa that the Torah demands is not universally nicker. It's not universally recognizable because you have people who what happens in their friend. What? What?
Where am I being nicker part of the deal? I thought you needed shvisa.
No, that's what Rambam's suggesting. Rambam's suggesting that in the third reason he's telling you that what do Chazal do? Chazal recognize that it will be a problem for someone to have Shabbos without a shvisa that's nicker. Okay, so the Torah only goes up to, let's say, here. Okay, what did Chazal create? What did Chazal create?
A nicker shvisa, positive idea.
I'm gonna go even further. Okay,
Active shvisa is what's
even further than that. They created. Okay, what do they create? Ready? An Isser Malacha B'Darbanan called Muktzeh. Chazal actually went ahead and what do they say? Think about what they're doing. They're saying, what's the whole purpose of Isser Malacha? Isser Malacha does what?
Shvisa.
Create shvisa, right? So what are they doing by Muktzeh? Creating a universal shvisa for everyone is doing what? It's creating a shvisa. So they took the mechanism that God instituted by Malacha, right? Which is what? Isser Malacha creates shvisa. They borrowed that same mechanism and applied it to...
They didn't extend, they copied and pasted.
Copy and paste it. But in doing so, well, except for one thing, they introduced it to Kalim. Okay, they created a universal. They saw that the problem is that we don't have a universal shvisa nikaris. So they took the very institution that God used, so to speak, in creating Isser Malacha, and so now we're going to take that, which Isser Malacha produces. Isser Malacha produces shvisa. So now what do they say? They said, oh, same here. Isser, quote unquote, Malacha will produce shvisa as well. That's the Isser of Muktzeh. One second. Yeah, no. But let's just to give Ariel's props. Correct. If someone decided that during the week, what am I going to do? My sole job in life is going to be avoiding moving Muktzeh objects. That's my job. I got hired by someone. Your job is not to move anything that's Muktzeh. You're right. You're right. I understand. I'm saying hypothetically, though. I'm saying hypothetically. And you're right. So are you fine? You go over different Isser. I'm saying hypothetically, you're correct. But how far can Chazal go? But what you're asking in that question, though, is going to tie into, I think, a very major point here, which is why I think the Rambam has three reasons. Okay, I'm going to argue this is speculative. Okay, but I think as you go through Muktzeh, you'll start appreciating this more and more. What is the Rambam facing, so to speak? What are Chazal facing when it comes to Muktzeh? Why is Muktzeh? Muktzeh is very unique. Okay, what makes it unique?
What's most unique?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, okay. Let me give you a practical example. In other words, if you ask the average person, right? The average person, whenever it comes to, everyone knows what Muktzeh is, right? I mean, Muktzeh is like right? I mean, no one knows the specifics.
People think Muktzeh is Malacha.
Oh, they do. That's for sure. They think Muktzeh is Malacha, right? Muktzeh Goy, all those jokes. But why was Muktzeh so profound? And I'll show you why when we do the Gemara. You have to wait a couple days. When we do the Gemara, you'll see why it was so profound. But what makes it such a profound institution? It's different than any other type of Malacha.
They create a Isser and a Chassid.
But it can also be the way that God relates to it.
It's not Tenet.
But keep bigger. What?
It's not Tenet Diraisa.
Okay, that's why the Rabbit I think doesn't like it. In fact, that's exactly why the Rabbit doesn't like it.
I mean,
okay?
it is tethered
No.
to their eyes.
Not really.
Well, you'll see. The Rabbit's going to say, we'll get to that. No, but what does Muktzeh, in its most prime form, what does Muktzeh mean? Not set aside, but what does it mean? What's the expression of Muktzeh? How am I with this Muktzeh when I move something? Right? Okay, so why is that such a profound thing? Well, when it comes to Gzeras and Takanas, what do Chazal always try and do? What do they always try and do? They would try to create... what? Okay, very specific set thing. Okay, you have an Isser Malacha called, give me an Isser Malacha Deraisa. Cooking, right? So now what do Chazal do? They come along and they create siyagim specifically focused on that Isser Deraisa, right? And the Isser Derabanans are very narrow in scope, right? What's Muktzeh? Muktzeh is telling you what? It's totality of, yes, but what do you mean by totality Shabbos? Meaning what? Right, well, okay, the Rambam is telling you was targeting Shvisa, and that is universal. But think about it. I mean, just right now looking around the room, okay? Everything I'm surrounded by has what property in it? The ability to be moved, okay? You're prohibiting movement, okay? Movement of objects. That is a massive institution to consider. You'll see what you have to trust me on this one because the Gemara is going to bear this out. But that's a wild concept. There's just one thing to say that, you know what? Fine, you have to walk a different way. Or you can't talk about certain things, okay? I can see like restrictions there, right? But to tell someone that I can't move things, but movement is such a normative part of daily existence. I'm surrounded by objects that I can move. This, everything. Everything's subject to movement, right? So the fact that Chazal come along and create a category called Isser Tiltal, that's why I think the Rambam has these three reasons. Because it's such a massive category. All right, it's the category of Isser. You'll see as we go through it, the category is so large and so it covers so many areas. I mean, think about the different subcategories: Kli Shemachtel Isser, Kli Shemachtel Heter, Tzarach Gufo, Tzarach Makomo, Machmas Mias, Machmas Isser, Hooks Mitzvah. You'll see all these subcategories that all take movement and kind of just constantly subcategorize it. But the whole concept of restricting movement is a crazy idea. Malachas don't work that way. Malachas aren't about restricting universals. Malachas restrict specific activities. I can't dig. I can't build. I can't do this. Those are specific. But you can't move things. Moving things, that's a universal type of gzera. So I think that's what's leading the Rambam down this road to give these three reasons. Okay. Shulchan explains the Ravid really well. He says, it's in Shinchas Sif Beis. It says, "V'hekshol of a Ravid, Sharei b'Gemara mefurash, the tiltal muksa ne'asra b'mei iser hotzah." Well, I'll have you guys think about this for tomorrow, right? The tiltal tzarach hotzahu, right? Sheyev shar lahotzi b'li tiltal, right? V'im yizalzalu b'tiltal yizalzalu b'hotzah. Okay. What's he talking about? Okay, so he's saying now. A little history here. You have to look at Sif Gimel to understand this, which you'll do this tomorrow. But who created Muktzeh? Okay. So, well, here's the thing. There's two theoretical possibilities. Okay. The Gemara cites historically a important figure in Jewish history created Muktzeh. Nehemiah. Very good. Okay, good. Nehemiah. Why? Because he saw lots of Jews being over the Isser of Hotzah. Okay, we'll get to how the Rambam is going to learn that. But anyway, they were over the Isser Hotzah, so therefore he created this institution of Muktzeh. Okay. So the Ravid's first kasha is that how could the Rambam, like you're saying, Ariel's right. In other words, it's not tethered to any type of Doraisa.
Well, this saying
the Ravid's saying it is right. If it's in other words, what's really what's really bothering the Ravid in the first reason? What's bothering him?
That he's creating a separate framework.
Right. He's creating. It's the third reason I think that really upsets the Ravid. Because what's he doing now? He's creating an Isser. That's the thing. The Isser Malacha D'Rabbanan idea. The Ravid is like nauseated by that because he's saying it's got to connect to something. Because every Isser D'Rabbanan is what? Right. It's like you have an Av and you have a Tolda. So therefore, just like you have an Av and Tolda everywhere else, Muktzeh must be what? A Tolda of something.
Why is there a mitzvah Shvisa?
No, my point. According to the Rambam, what are Chazal protecting with Muktzeh? They're not protecting a specific deraisa. They're protecting, which means what? They're protecting the institution of Shabbos. And again, that's why I think why he has three possible reasons. That's a massive proposition that Chazal came along and said, you know what? Shabbos is in danger, and because Shabbos is in danger, we have to come along and protect it. But the Ravid says, you can't, that's very nice. That's a great Shabbos drasha. But the fact is that you're breaking the mold. Every single time we have an Isser D'Rabbanan, it's always connected to Doraisa. It has to follow that mechanism. So according to the Rambam, what does Muktzeh tie back to?